I'm here to share some significant updates concerning the Chicago Bears. Recently, there have been signs that a particular player is feeling discontent with the current circumstances. On a positive note for the Chicago Bears, there is some encouraging news from the NFL prior to the schedule announcement. Moreover, an intriguing rumor is making rounds online, suggesting that someone claims to possess the complete Bears schedule. Whether this claim holds true is yet to be determined, and we will dig deeper into that shortly. In a notable first, the schedule will be revealed through a live broadcast, scheduled for 7 o'clock Central Time. Typically, the full schedule can be accessed a week ahead of time, but a live stream is expected to kick off around 6 o'clock Central Time. It is essential to stay updated and engage with the daily and free content concerning the Chicago Bears. Now, if you notice this thumbnail, you have certainly landed in the right place. Let's examine the situation with the previously mentioned player. There seems to be considerable frustration regarding ongoing contractual discussions with the team. This player arrived at the facility today not for practice, but to address the media. Reports suggest that there was an extensive briefing with the press, where many emotions were expressed candidly. The word disappointed was frequently used, and it was noted that earlier remarks have been withdrawn. When asked directly if there would be a continuation under the existing agreement, the answer was a clear no. Stay tuned for further updates on this situation. Additionally, it has been communicated that the head coach sent out a notice indicating financial penalties would be imposed if attendance at the mandatory minicamp was not met. This unclear communication from the team has understandably left the player feeling quite frustrated. Mention was made of the head coach communicating that attendance at the mandatory minicamp was crucial, or else fines would follow. This lack of clarity has resulted in frustration stemming from the team's poor communication practices. The current contract, worth $16 million, is one that this player is unwilling to continue under, especially after advocating for a new deal a year ago. At that time, with 2 years left on the contract, there was a choice to play, excel, and anticipate better recognition from the team in the following season. However, that expectation has not materialized, and the player remains at $16 million, while others in the same position are earning significantly more. It is reasonable to see why there is hesitance to remain in such an unfavorable situation. Given the financial commitments already made to key players, it seems improbable that the team's offer will improve, making a trade a more feasible option. For the Chicago Bears, who have been active this offseason with a youthful, promising roster and a hopeful coaching staff, the pivotal question is whether to take a chance on this player to reinstate competitiveness, which has been lacking for some time. A potential trade scenario could involve offering a 5th-round selection in return for a 2nd-round pick. Merely attempting to secure a 3rd-round pick may not be adequate, and there could also be consideration of pairing a 3rd-round pick with another player, though parting with a 1st-round pick may not be necessary. Therefore, a trade consisting of a 2nd-round selection along with a 5th could plausibly facilitate the player's exit from the current roster. At 30 years of age, a substantial salary expectation is likely, which any team aiming to negotiate would find reasonable, especially within the NFC looking to acquire talent from the AFC. The team that decides to take on this player will need to dedicate a considerable amount of resources. The minimum valuation remains uncertain, perhaps aligning with what premier players earn, but this will depend significantly on the expectations set by both the player and their representative. Negotiating with the Cincinnati Bengals, particularly with a team in the National Conference, might be a viable alternative to distancing him from the American Conference. Now, a figure must be offered that won't be low. What would be the minimum acceptable amount? I am unsure, but something in the ballpark of what Bosa or Crosby receives could serve as a starting point. If I were in his position, I would aim for a higher figure than Danielle Hunter, who signed a $35,600,000 extension for 1 year. Therefore, perhaps he could sign for something between $33 and $35 million, assuming a 3-year contract, with most of it guaranteed. This could resolve the situation. I don't think it will reach Myles Garrett's figures, but if I were his representative, I would suggest starting around 36. He aims to be among the highest paid, as he knows that Micah Parsons will likely surpass him, just as TJ Watt did. so he wants to ensure he is in the top 4 or 5. Moreover, he is aware that this is his last chance to secure a good contract. So I don't blame him for his frustration. $16 million for what he brings to the table is indeed an insignificant amount. It's worth noting that any team that acquires him will need to account for a salary cap impact of $16 million for the next season. Looking at the Bears' situation, they would need to extend him, and I believe any team interested already has a plan in mind to minimize the financial impact this year. Something the Bears would need to factor in given their financial state for the 2025 season. Here's my contract projection. Whether it's a new 3-year deal, a 3-year extension, or a +2 considering the year he has left, the total would come to 3 years and $108 million, with 36 per year and 95 guaranteed, which would be a substantial amount. This figure would be considerable to secure a player like Trey Hendrickson for the coming years. However, if you're one of these teams, and we are talking about the Bears, if you believe he can take them to the next level, it's 35 sacks accumulated in the last 2 years. He had a season with 14 sacks in 2021 and has consistently ranked among the top 3 or 4 in quarterback pressure throughout the years. Additionally, he already has a good relationship with Dennis Allen, which would facilitate his integration. He and Montez Sweat could form the starting duo, while Dio Dangbo could serve as a versatile option on the defensive line. Over the past 2 years, he accumulated a total of 14 sacks in his 2021 season. He has remained among the top 3 or 4 pass rushers for several years. And the familiarity with Dennis Allen would make his integration quite smooth. He and Montez Sweat could form the starting duo, while Dio Dangbo could play a versatile role on the defensive line. Despite having a high cost of $16 million per year, this represents a serious commitment and a bold decision. I understand the hesitation, especially considering how much has already been invested in Boo. And a question that arises is what happens if Caleb does not develop as expected? If you make several high-risk bets and he doesn't turn out to be the solution, that's a legitimate concern. The risks are undeniable, but management also emphasized the importance of building a rotation of pass rushers. Analyzing the current roster, it can be said that there is some depth in the defensive tackle position. However, I am not sure the same can be said about the edge position, as besides Sweat, Dingbo, and Booker's situations present a lot of uncertainty. While Booker is still an unknown, Dingbo is a solid player, but not yet fully established. I believe Trey Hendrickson could elevate this defensive line to a dominant level. He would become their primary pass rusher, while Montez Sweat would take on the role of edge number 2, excelling against the run and contributing as a secondary pass rusher. You would have about 4 or 5 defensive tackles with whom you would feel confident. Adding just one player could elevate this group from average to above average, possibly even into elite territory. The impact he could bring would be significant. Ultimately, it all comes down to whether you're willing to accept this risk and make a considerable investment. If it doesn't work out, it would indeed be a major investment. However, this is the ideal scenario for such a move, especially when you have a rookie quarterback you trust who is on a low-cost contract. Personally, I would tend to support this decision. However, I suspect the Bears may choose not to go down this path, as if they had this intention, we would probably have heard rumors about their strategies earlier in the offseason before investing in a player. But if you told me Hendrickson could be acquired for a 3rd-round pick, I would believe they should try. If it requires a financial commitment, so be it. With ample cap space in the following years, Hendrickson's contract could be accommodated. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a shocking turn of events, the Chicago Bears have secured one of the NFL's most coveted wide receivers, Justin Jefferson. The Minnesota Vikings, Jefferson's previous team, are now left grappling with the sudden loss of their star player. And fans are voicing their discontent with the move, feeling betrayed by the organization. Jefferson, who has been a standout performer for the Vikings since entering the league, made a name for himself with remarkable performances and record-breaking seasons. His ability to make jaw-dropping catches, combined with his speed and precise route running, quickly elevated him to one of the top receivers in the league. Over the past few seasons, he became not only the heart of the Vikings offense, but also a fan favorite in Minnesota. The news of his departure is sending shockwaves across the NFL, with many questioning the Vikings' decision to let him go. For the Bears, landing Justin Jefferson is a massive coup. This acquisition marks a bold move as the team looks to revitalize its offense. The Bears have been in search of a game-changing playmaker, and Jefferson, with his unparalleled skill set, could be the spark that the team needs to move up the ranks in the NFC North. By adding Jefferson to their roster, the Bears aim to provide their young quarterback, whoever it may be, with a top-tier weapon who can stretch the field and make crucial plays. The partnership between Jefferson and the Bears' offensive unit is expected to make waves in the coming seasons. The Vikings fan base, however, is far from thrilled with the trade. Many are outraged by the team's decision to trade their star player, especially considering the long-term potential Jefferson showed. The Vikings have been through a rebuilding phase, and Jefferson was seen as a centerpiece for the team's future. With his departure, fans are concerned that their hopes for a competitive squad have been dashed, and there's a growing sense of betrayal among the Minnesota faithful. Some are questioning the front office's direction, wondering if trading Jefferson was a financial or strategic move, or simply a miscalculation. The Vikings had hoped to build around their young talents, and losing Jefferson feels like a step backward for the franchise. Moreover, the timing of the trade has many scratching their heads. Jefferson was a fan favorite, and his ability to put up huge numbers on the field made him a crucial piece in Minnesota's offense. Without him, the Vikings faced the daunting task of replacing a generational talent who had the ability to shift games on his own. For Chicago, the move represents not only a strategic on-field decision, but also a statement. The Bears are sending a clear message to their division rivals and the rest of the league that they are serious about contending in the near future. With a player like Jefferson now in their ranks, the Bears are positioning themselves to be a formidable force in the NFC North. As for Jefferson, the future is looking brighter than ever. With a fresh start in Chicago, he'll be expected to not only live up to his reputation, but exceed the high expectations placed upon him. He now finds himself in a new environment, surrounded by a new system, but his potential to become one of the best in the game is undeniable. The Minnesota Vikings will certainly fill the void left by their former star wide receiver, and it remains to be seen how they'll adjust moving forward. As for the Bears, their bold move is one that could very well reshape the NFC North for years to come. The addition of Justin Jefferson has raised the stakes for the 2025 season and beyond. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.